Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Extension. Today we're going to be talking about pumpkins, and we're going to be making a pumpkin pie later. And we'll hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to be telling you a little bit more about getting ready for the holidays, and you'll have to see what he's going to talk about later. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Today we're going to be talking about pumpkins, and it's close to the holidays, and we're thinking about jack-o'-lanterns that's large for our home, but let's think about the smaller ones. When you're thinking about your pumpkin, think about a small one also. So the reason why I'm asking you to think about that is because pumpkin is so nutritional. You may not realize how good it is. This is loaded with vitamin A, and we need a lot of vitamin A, but you can eat 1 cup of this pumpkin as far as it being cooked, and it is loaded with vitamin A. So we need to think about that. It also has a little bit of vitamin C, calcium, iron, and it's also a great source of fiber. But the good thing also about it is it's fat-free, saturated fat-free, and it's also cholesterol and sodium-free. So this is a great way to start your holidays, is to think about a pumpkin. Now, the why I say to pick a smaller one is because it is going to be sweeter, it is going to have a firmer flesh to it, and it's not going to be as stringy as a large one. And so when you're cooking your pumpkin, to make a pumpkin pie, for instance, it is just going to be better for you. So when I say selection, look for a pumpkin that's 10 pounds or less, because that's what's going to be your best. Now, jack-o'-lanterns are okay that you're going to be using for the holidays to cook a pumpkin pie, or just cook pumpkin to use for a soup or whatever, but you want to try to get the smaller ones because it is going to be sweeter, it's going to be tastier, and it's just going to suit you better for what your needs are when it comes to the cooking part of it. Now, when you're putting your pumpkin in your home, you want to put it in a cool, dry place, because you want to make sure it's not going to get a lot of heat to it, because you want to prolong it. And a pumpkin actually can stay around for about a month or longer, depending on if you don't have any bruises, any defects on the outer part of the skin, and that's what you're looking for if you're going to use it to cook with. And you want to wait till closer to December if you want to wait there. So just make sure you're looking at the pumpkin on the outer part. Make sure you don't see any bruises, any nicks on it, because if it is on there, it's going to decay faster, and you're not going to be able to use that pumpkin as long as you thought you would. So look at that when you're buying your pumpkins, and remember, smaller is better, and we're thinking 10 pounds or less is what you want to look for. So when you're putting that pumpkin in that cool and dry place at your home, just make sure that nobody bumps into it, and just keep it there until you're ready to cook it. Now, when you cook pumpkin, it also has a lot of liquid to it, so you don't want to add a lot of water to it when you cook it. But just to give you an average, cooked pumpkin, 1 cup is about 81 calories. But 1 cup of cooked pumpkin equals about 1 pound of uncooked pumpkin. So just to give you an idea, you're going to have to cook a little bit more pumpkin than you realize to get that 1 cup of cooked pumpkin, and that's very important. You can freeze it, and you can preserve it. So if you want to do that, to bring it back out later in the season, you can also do that. And we have a wonderful book to tell you how to do that at our office. So just remember, great source of vitamin A, a little bit of vitamin C. You're going to get some calcium, you're going to get some iron, you're going to get some fiber, but it is just a great nutritional thing to put on your list to buy a small pumpkin and make something with it this season. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights.
Okay, today we're out here at Ewell Forest with Alan Grant, and we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas trees and pumpkins here. And Christmas trees, a lot of folks talk about growing Christmas trees. It's a little bit of work growing a Christmas tree. We've had a good season this year. They've grown really well, but now they got to be shaped up and turn them into Christmas trees so they look like Christmas trees. I'm going to turn it over to Alan here and let him tell you a little bit about his farm here and what they do.
Welcome to Ewell Forest. We've started the farm here about 35 years ago. Planting the tree farm is one of the easiest things that we do. The seedlings that we plant look very similar to this. This is about the size that we plant, and we plant them in the wintertime. Of course, when spring and summer and we get a good growing season. Frank mentioned we had a good spring growing season this year, and it's been good in the summertime too. As the trees are growing, we have to prune them and shape them up so they look like a Christmas tree. When they're this size, we use hand clippers and we clip just the ends, just like that, and the tops a little bit and give them a little bit of shape. And that's pretty much all we do to the little trees. As the trees get bigger, we graduate to mechanical shearing. My father 35 years ago invented a machine that he patented, and we still use it today on the farm. And I will demonstrate that in just a minute. I'm going to show you how the historic way of shearing trees by hand with a big machete. I'll give you a short demonstration now about how that works. I won't do it much because it's pretty strenuous and we don't want to do that a whole lot. So anyway, I'll show you that right away.
Yeah, I came out here this morning. Alan said we're going to prune Christmas trees, and he handed me this. And he's got the machine, I got the machete, but I'm going to let him demonstrate how to use the machete here in just a minute.
Yeah, it looks like a big roast beef knife, but what we do is we come over to the tree, and this tree you can see has a lot of new growth on it, and in order for it to be shaped up and you use as a Christmas tree, and also for each place that we shear, it buds out and we get a thicker tree. And when we shear by hand, we use a shearing knife like this and we cut those tips off. Now I've done just a little bit of this tree. I haven't even gone all the way around it, and I have spent about 10 or 15 seconds on the tree. And if I did that all day long, my shoulder would be pretty sore. But we have graduated into this machine that I'm going to demonstrate now, and you'll see how fast and how good it works. My dad invented the machine 35 years ago when we first got into the tree industry. We did manufacture the machine for a number of years. The patent ran out in 17 years, and we probably sold a few hundred of them nationally. But shearing here in the South is an intensive program. We have to shear these trees sometimes 3 times during their growing season. And so these are Buckeye cedars that I'm fixing to shear. This will be their second shearing this year. We have some Leland cypresses that I'll actually have to shear 3 times this year. So I'm going to fire up the machine and give you a little demonstration about it.
Okay.
Frank, you want to give it a shot?
No, I'll let you take care of that. That looks good. A lot easier than using the machete, and that machine works really well. And now you know why Christmas trees look like they do. So you probably thought they just grew that way, but they take a little bit of work to get them in shape for you to put them up for Christmas, and that's what they do out here with Christmas trees. I think now what we're going to do is move over to the pumpkin patch, and we're going to talk a little bit about pumpkins. Alan's got one of the nicest pumpkin patches around, and we're going to go over and take a look at that. Now we moved up here to the pumpkin patch, and like I said, Alan's got a really nice pumpkin patch up here. Folks come out and pick out a pumpkin to take home with them. They're turning orange right now. There's a few of them that are still a little bit green, but all in all, the patch is looking really good. And I'm gonna let Alan tell you a little bit about what goes on out here at Ewell Forest in the fall. So I'll turn it over to Alan.
Okay. Well, before we get to the Christmas tree season, we do our fall festival time where we have our pumpkin patch going, and we have a lot of activities going on here. We have hay rides going on, we have a reptile exhibit, we have a few concerts scheduled for the weekends. We also have a petting zoo and horseback riding, a puppet show. We have real nice exhibits. The STEM project is alive and well here. Some of the school kids here in Henry County have been involved in a life sciences project for the STEM program. We also have some educational activities included with the movie theater, where the kids learn about farming and about farming here in Georgia and growing pumpkins here in Georgia. There's just a lot of stuff for the kids. It's a daytime kind of thing. You can spend all day out here. Also, we give you a wheelbarrow and you can come out to the pumpkin patch. We're standing beside the pumpkin patch right now. You can take pictures while you're cutting your pumpkin right off the vine. There's a lot going on for us during the whole month of October before we even get to the Christmas tree season.
All right, we're going to go out here in this pumpkin patch, and we're going to find us a pumpkin, and then we're going to go back and see what Susan's doing in the kitchen.
I know you heard from Frank, and he talked about cutting those Christmas trees and getting those ready. Not only did he find out that Alan Grant, our friend of Extension, he also grows those pumpkins out there too at Ewell Forest, so try them out when you're looking for the holidays, because the pumpkin that we had out was from Grant's his farm. So just check it out. It's easy to find. It's right here in Henry County. So let's talk about our pumpkin and our pumpkin pie. And that's what we're going to be making now. So it's going to be pretty simple, and I'm going to go ahead and mix it up and show you how simple it is. But what we're going to start with is we have a big bowl, and I have a cup of sugar, and I'm going to go ahead and put that into my bowl. And then I have some spices already mixed together, and I'm going to tell you what's in here. There's a ½ teaspoon of salt. There's 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. There is a ½ teaspoon of nutmeg, a ½ teaspoon of ginger, and a ½ teaspoon of allspice. And so what you're going to do, and it's going to tell you to do this, is to put all your spices together. And I'm going to just mix it together with my sugar, because I want to make sure I incorporate it really well with my sugar first. So I'm mixing that up first, and it smells really good. I love the way spices all smell together. And it just kind of brings back the holidays when you start smelling all these spices. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to need some pumpkin. And this is going to, you can cook pumpkin, and remember what I said, it's going to take about 1 pound of pumpkin to cook to get 1 cup. And this is going to be about 1.5 cups, and this is also going to be like a 15-ounce can of cooked pumpkin, and you can buy it at the grocery store, or you can take your own pumpkin and make your own pumpkin pie with fresh pumpkin. Now I think about the holidays, and I think about how busy we are, so I was thinking, you know, sometimes you just want to make something and you want to make it quick, and that's what I was thinking today when I was thinking about this pumpkin pie. And it's just a great way to me to start off the holidays. And so your next step is you're going to take the pumpkin and you're going to make sure all the ingredients that you just put into this bowl is mixed together. And so what it's going to really do is make this pumpkin become very spicy and nice tasting also for the pie. So what you want to do is make sure you're going to get the sugar, all the spices, a little bit of salt. You're going to make sure it's all incorporated into that pumpkin. And when you do that, remember the pumpkin was a really bright orange, and now with all this good spice, and it smells so good, it's going to be a little bit darker because you've added all those good spices to your pumpkin. So we're going to set this aside, and the next step you need for the recipe is you're going to need 2 eggs beaten. So I've already have the eggs beaten up, but you're also going to need a can of evaporated milk, and this is about a 12 ounce. And I did pick out the lowest fat, so the low fat milk is what you're looking for. And what we're going to do, I'm going to use a fork, is we're going to mix the milk in with the eggs. So you want to do that first before you put it into the pumpkin mixture. So I'm just going to kind of make sure that my milk and my eggs are all mixed together. Let me set this aside. And this is pretty much it. Once you get this all kind of mixed up together, I want to make my eggs and my milk mixed up, you're going to pour this into your pumpkin mixture. Now I said it's the holidays, we're busy. We don't have time a lot of times to make that fresh pie shell. So I chose the easy way out today. So I have a pie shell already made up from the store. And this pie shell is not cooked, so you don't want to cook your pie shell. So you want to make sure you have an uncooked pie shell, and I will tell you this is a lot of mixture. So you want to make sure you have that deep dish pie shell because that's what's going to work the best. Now every once in a while I have a little left over, and what I like to do is put into a smaller container just the pumpkin mixture and bake it with the pie. And that's what I like to eat sometimes even in the mornings because it tastes even better to me sometimes after the pie sits. Now I will tell you this, that once you get all this mixed up, we're going to put it into the pie shell. And to me, a pie is even better the next day. And if you're not going to eat this pie the first day that you cut it, and a lot of people eat on it because you want to make sure you have enough serving. This is going to serve about 8 people. You can take the pie and put it in the refrigerator to prolong it. Now let's say that you're traveling and you want to make your pumpkin pie up early. You could even freeze that pumpkin pie and then make sure it's thawed out really, really good before you get to the destination you're going to go to, and then you've already got your pumpkin pie ready. So you can see the milk is pretty much into the pumpkin mixture. And that's what we want. And I'm going to pour this into my pie shell. But before I do that, I like to do this. I like to try to keep a clean oven. I don't always, but I do try to. So what we want to do now is I am going to get, this looks really good mixed up, I am going to get a cookie sheet pan. And I am going to go ahead and put my pie shell into the cookie sheet. And this is just going to keep it, also when you take it out of your oven, it just is so much easier to take it out, and you don't have to worry about your thumb accidentally hitting that pie. So this is just a great way to do that. So I am going to pour this into my pie shell, and you'll see that it will come all the way up to the top. And it will not cook out. It just cooks really good, and it becomes firm. And you're going to have to watch it. Every stove is different. So we're going to get all this mixture in. And you can see I have got it up to the top. But the good thing is, I like it up to the top because that means it's even more pumpkin pie to eat. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to actually put all my dishes in one container right quick and move it to over here. So we have our pie, and this pie is going to cook for 15 minutes at 475. Now check your oven because every oven's different, but you're going to cook it for 15 minutes at 475, and then you're going to turn your oven down to 350, and you're going to cook it for 50 to 60 minutes, depending on your oven. And the goal is it's going to start cooking on the outer edge, and then it's going to get firmer toward the middle. And it takes it longer to get there. So what you want to make sure is, to make sure it's done, you're going to take a knife and insert it into the center, and to make sure it comes out clean. Then you know your pie is done. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and stick our pie into the oven, and we're going to go ahead and cook it. So, when we come back, we're going to be tasting that pumpkin pie. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Frank is here, and we're going to try that pumpkin pie.
I like pumpkin pie.
I know you do, Frank.
Go ahead.
And I am looking so forward to doing this, just so you have a piece. And it smells good. I hope it's going to be as good, and I got to make sure that I get it down in there so I can pull it out really good for you. Let's see, here we go. I think I'm grabbing something besides the crust there, Frank.
That's okay. I'll take care of it. Just get it on the plate.
Okay, here we go. And I didn't grab all the crust.
That's all right.
All right, I'm gonna get me a piece too.
All right.
Now, you can say you've had your pumpkin pie to start the holidays now.
That was good.
Is it good? Very good. But one thing I was going to ask you, would you like a little bit of whipped cream on your pie?
Well, I might like a lot.
Okay, that sounds really good. Let me just get you a little bit up there.
All right,
How about that?
That'll work. I knew something was missing.
You knew
I just
something
didn't know
was
what
missing.
it was.
That just adds a little bit for the holidays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did try to keep it a little bit. I know we have a cup of sugar in this, but I did try to keep it a little bit on the low fat as far as adding the milk.
It's on my
So-
diet. I can tell you right now.
That's good. That is good.
I got a pretty strict diet, but pumpkin pie with whipped cream on it is always on my diet.
That is good. It's very, very creamy. Very
You know,
creamy.
we went out to Alan Grant's out there at Ewell Forest, and he's got a big pumpkin patch. I mean, he's really got a lot of pumpkins. And you know, you can't talk about pumpkins unless you talk about Jack.
That's right.
You know, Jack, he was kind of a devious sort of fella. He was not a good person. And somehow he managed to trap the devil. And so the devil negotiated with him to get released from Jack. I mean, Jack, you got to be bad, you know, to take advantage of the devil. So anyway, Jack said, "Don't ever take me into hell." And so the devil agreed, so he turned the devil loose. And then he died eventually, and he went to heaven, and they wouldn't take him into heaven because he'd been pretty bad. I mean, he was a pretty bad guy, so they wouldn't let him into heaven. So then they wouldn't let him into hell because he made an agreement with the devil not to go to hell. So he still walks around on the earth. He's got no place to go. He can't go to heaven, he can't go to hell. And the devil threw him an amber out of hell, and he took a turnip and he carved that turnip up and put that amber in it. And so if you're out on Halloween walking around, Jack of the Lantern is walking around carrying that turnip with that. That's how you can tell the real one from the false one, because we think jack-o'-lanterns are made out of pumpkins. But actually, he's carrying a turnip around.
Very interesting.
I guess, you know, the moral of that story is don't negotiate with the devil for your future.
That's a good point. Very good point. Very good point.
Anyway, that's my story for today. But,
Very good, Frank. That's a good story.
I could have gotten, you know, when we were out there, a bigger pumpkin. There's a lot of pumpkins. Some of them weigh 35, 40 pounds, and some of them didn't. We had walked all the way to the other end of the pumpkin patch, and we had to make a decision whether we were going to get this pumpkin right here to bring back for the show, or carry one of those 35-pound pumpkins all the way the length of the field.
I think you made a good
So
choice.
I decided that we would go with this pumpkin right there.
Very good choice, especially for a pumpkin pie.
But the pumpkin pie is good.
It is really good. Check out the website. Get this recipe. It's going to be yummy for your family during the holidays. And Frank and I will see you back next time on Garden Delights.